what got Joanna to stripping in a lift. Like I want to like shrink him down and carry him around in my pocket.
Please, give me this.
2 raging book nerds, 14 years of friendship, and 1 burning question.
If Katniss Everdeen posted on Reddit, would she be the arsehole?
Welcome to Once Upon a Red Flag. This season, we're stepping into Panem, where every tribute, tyrant, and mentor gets their day in the Am I the Asshole courtroom.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Rachel.
And join us while we read between the red flags and break down the Hunger Games, one questionable decision at a time. Welcome back to another mid-season break episode. What are we going to be talking about this week, Rachel?
Today we are talking about our top side character stories that we would want to see. Now, I think a lot of these episodes in the mid-season break are pretty self-explanatory. So, with that being said, shall we just launch right into it?
Okay, so for me, one of the ones I really wanted a backstory on was Joanna Mason. Like, she's a tricky and complex character in the original trilogy, and I would love to find out more about her games, how she played like all timid and then showed her expert skills with an axe later on, which is kind of terrifying. It's giving me like The Shining, and I think it would be an interesting games to watch. And I'd also like to find out more about District 7, like the Lumber District, because we don't really know that much about it.
Yeah, there's quite a few districts we don't really know like a huge amount about. We kind of like know what they do, but like we never really see any other district apart from 12 and I guess a little bit of 11, right? Like even after the victory tour, it all goes like glazed over.
But I think that Joanna Mason will give us a good in to learn more about District 7 and about like her life like after the games, like if she gets very bitter, very, very angry. I think it'd be like good to know. Like she says, no, I don't have anybody left that I love. Like I think that would be also another emotional and heart-wrenching story, a bit like Haymitch. And I think it'd be interesting to see if she at any point was also used to maybe do a rebel plot that maybe went wrong. I think there's just a lot of layers that Suzanne Collins could kind of bring out, and it would be really interesting to read.
I think there's a lot of people that it'd be interesting to see, I think, their lives in the Capitol afterwards. I think we hear a lot about being in the arena, and each arena in and itself is its own different story, but it all follows the same pattern. I kind of want to know, like, what got Joanna to stripping in a lift with Peter and Katniss. Like, that's... But then I also wonder, with out of everyone, this one might be the most similar to Katniss' story. Because, like we mentioned before, like, they are quite alike in different ways. They are quite similar. But I think you've gone through for a very, like, specific theme in all the people you want to see. And I've gone for a very specific theme in all the people I want to see.
Okay, so what about you?
I want to see Effie. Obviously, for all the obvious reasons, I want to see Effie. But then again, I'd also think I'd like to see like even just short novellas for like all of the District 12 team and how they got to be on District 12. We know Effie. We know vaguely a little bit about Effie, but we also know she sees District 12 as being like the shit district, right? And she's been working with District 12 for absolutely ages. Because that starts with the 50th games.
Yeah, that's when she like starts getting involved, and that's only because their designer is basically like. Is he either like just drunk or just like not there half the time? So Effie has to step in. Yeah,
there's some issue with like she just sort of like steps up to the plate. So it's kind of like, okay, here's my opportunity, and then she gets stuck with that same opportunity forever. Well, if she's so good, why was she stuck with 12? Even if it's not like the little like quiet rebel plot like I'd like to see personally. Or like even what happened pre-games for her. I kind of want to see how her life revolves around the games themselves. But then that's the same for, I'd also want to hear more about Portia. And I also kind of want to see more interactions between Effie and Haymitch. Just them It's like a duo. It's like I did see one, like, harkening back to the last fan theory episode. I saw one fan theory that I left out, which is that Haymitch and Effie get together, because I'm
Mm.
not big into shipping characters who have given me no indication that they ever want to be together. But I think they are solid friends. And I would
Mhm.
like to see some nice little heartwarming moments between Haymitch and Effie picking Haymitch up off the floor, the same way that Peter and Katniss do.
Mhm.
Just little bits like that, you know?
Okay. Moving on to the next person I would like a backstory for. I would like to find out the story of Annie Cresta. Like, we know she went a bit loopy, which was caused by the wave, and she won because she was the strongest swimmer, as we discussed in our most recent theories episodes. I would be interested to find out about her games, what happened to her mentally, but also I guess the question is, would she be a very reliable narrator to write from her perspective, at least after the games?
Maybe not, but then is any narrator reliable if
I
they're a
just
first
like,
person narrator?
even more so for Annie though, because she starts to have her mental issues after the games. You know, she could be a clone, as we discussed in the theories episode. So would she be necessarily very reliable, or would we have to write an Annie Cresta book where some of that perspective is, I don't know, from Finnick or something?
I think it would be interesting to actually hear it from Annie's perspective,
Mm.
because what do we actually know about Annie's sort of like life after the games? Well, she's aware enough to be with Finnick. She loves
Mm.
Finnick. She's with Finnick. They have a cracking relationship together. And Finnick adores Annie. Like,
Yeah.
he loves her to bits. So I think we view Annie as harder to relate to, but I
Mm.
feel like it's quite possible that this might be a fan theory here. They say Annie's like not quite all there since the games, right? Well, what if she's not quite all there in air quotes? What if she's
Mm.
not quite all there in the way that people who are nonverbal are sort of like dubbed by quite like derisive, harsh terms? What
Mm.
if Annie is entirely completely compos mentis, right? Completely like she's not loopy at all. But what if Annie is just reserved, personality changed, PTSD and trauma and whatever she went through with that wave that damaged her and bashed her around has just made her less trusting and is now, I'm taking it from like a neurospicy perspective
Okay.
of what if Annie is like me when I'm unmasked. Like,
Mm.
what if Annie is like me when I'm having a rough day and the idea of even verbalizing a thought feels tough, of
I
like
think
even
I
putting something into perspective? Because that could still be classed as like a really like harsh, like she's not quite all there kind of perspective. But
mm.
she must be all there to enough to have an actual adult relationship with Finnick.
Yeah, I guess she is just kind of, she's overwhelmed by PTSD. I think she's very fragile. And I guess because maybe her and Fink's relationship kind of started before that, or kind of as that happened, that's probably how that kind of bonds being solidified between the two. I think it would be interesting to find out more about her games and her life. I don't know if I don't know how reliable she would be, but that's like the case with Katniss as well. So
Yeah, it is. And I also think that even if it was the point where like Annie hallucinates and stuff, think of like the beautiful imagery you would get from that. But also like even if she has the trauma of reliving her games and PTSD flashbacks, I think it's still a very important story to tell, because we talk about the trauma that Katniss and Peter and Haymitch have experienced and how they've responded to it. Well, they've got outlets, right? Haymitch drinks, the Morphlings got high. Haymitch plans for rebellion. Katniss has nightmares and is caught up with the whole Katniss Peter Gale thing. Annie's got Finnick, but I think Annie's trauma is internalized a lot. And so I think it would probably be interesting to see how she responds to the world and how the world looks from that trauma after the games as well, just to actually know a bit more about all the potential downsides. My little like literary brain is like, ooh, what would this look like? How beautiful would these passages be?
I think it'd be really complex to write, but I think Suzanne Collins could write it.
Yeah, I think she's really good at complex.
Yeah, I think it'd just take a bit longer.
The fact that we've made an entire podcast series that's 20 odd episodes long out of her world proves to me that she can do complex.
True.
On a less like intense note, Sinner. I want Sinner. Give me Sinner, please and thank you.
You just want Sinner.
I just want Sinner. I want to like shrink him down and carry him around in my pocket and keep him safe. But I want to see how someone that appears so capital could be so pro-district, basically. Like, I'm assuming something similar to like Sejanus's family, where he has district heritage. If you want to go off the theory episode, the very first one where we discussed whether Cinna could be Beatty's child, I would like to see that kind of thing. There's definitely something that's happened to Cinna that has made him pro-district. And we never learn what that is. And I want to know, damn it. Give me answers.
Maybe we'll find out. I think another one I really want to book for is Mags.
If you just list all victors here.
Primarily. But I want Mags because, right, she won the 11th Hunger Games just after Lucy Gray won the 10th one. She was part of the games that had the first Victor's Village, like all the pomp and spectacle. Also the first Victor's Tour, and also the first person to actually win all the victory money as well. The ones before obviously like did not have this. I think it was also the first games that also had the cornucopia. So I think that'd be very interesting to see how they integrated that in, how it changed everything for the capital as well, the spectators, how it affects the districts. And I would love to see how that all played out as the games were built further. I just think it would be really, really, really interesting.
It would be interesting to see Mags as the first, like, is that when the mentorship started, like previous victors being mentors? Because then that would be interesting to see Mags come to terms with, she's won, she's got all of this stuff that nobody else did, and then she's now in a position to mentor other people. That itself would be a very interesting dynamic to come to terms with, and to see her life before the games became as big as they are now. And I feel like she would have been shunned. I feel like she would have been shunned in the districts as well, and that would have been hard to see, because I can't imagine that knowing this person's going to have to try and keep your kid alive, and after the first games you couldn't keep that kid alive. There would be some hatred.
I guess, this is before careers. This is before they fully developed kind of the career districts. So I guess I would just be really interested to find out more about her life, her games, how she adjusted, and how the games adjusted as well to start to develop to be this big thing. Obviously we have the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and we see how Snow has his input on those games, and obviously that's probably why the 11th Hunger Games become so much more of like a spectacle and a lot more like a game show. But I think it would be interesting because this is like there's so many firsts in this game. I think it'd be really interesting, and I would definitely read it and I would definitely watch it. So please give me the story.
Like, I guess to see the real-time reactions, because like of district citizens as well, because obviously by the time we read the Hunger Games trilogy, and even by the time we read Sunrise on the Reaping, these concepts have been around for a long time. And see them being introduced as they are introduced would be fascinating. My next, I want to see this person's story, please, is Darius the Peacekeeper, because he obviously became the Avox because he was aligned too much with Katniss and Gale and District 12. So, like, where did he come from? Is he Capital, who became a Peacekeeper, or is he District, who became a Peacekeeper? How did that play? Because if he is District Peacekeeper, that's career district, right? So how do we get a career who is so on board with 12? How do we get a capital citizen who is so on board with 12? What happens to him that he became so, I guess, mellow to flout the rules as much as he did? A lot of them in District 12, the Romulus thread, were that much more chill because they were kind of left to their own devices, which kind of leads me to believe that if you leave peacekeepers to their own devices and don't crack down them and torture them into being horrible people, then human nature prevails, I hope.
You
But
hope.
it'd be nice, you would hope, but it'd be nice to see how Darius got from point A to point B to point A again back in the capital. A lot of these people that I pick, I feel like we know the end of them. We know where they end up. But I kind of want to know how they got there. And some of them end up being dead. Some of them end up being Avoxes. But I kind of want, so you know it's not going to be a happy ending. But it was the same with Haymitch. He was never going to end happily. It becomes a drunkard. So you knew it wasn't going to be good. But you were still interested in the story that comes around it.
Yeah, and I really that Sunrise on the Reaping was absolutely heartbreaking, but it is definitely one of my favorite ones. So
yeah, definitely.
I also, and I know a lot of people I know would also want this. I want Finnick's story, please.
I want Finnick's story, please.
I want to find out about the careers training, how he got picked and why, or do they put their children into the school and get some sort of reward? It would answer all of our career training questions that we had from our careers episode as well.
It would, yeah.
And his relationship with Annie, I would love to kind of get inside of his head and see how that blossomed, his thinking during the games, obviously going from we know his games were lethal as soon as he got hold of that trident. I'd also love to learn more about District 4 and what District 4 is like. Maybe it's just because I like the sea and I like the ocean and I live by the sea and I'd love to know about that district, but I've always felt kind of, what's the word?
An affinity with, I guess.
Yeah, even though I'm going to go and see the Hunger Games on stage in 3 weeks and I'm sat in District 11, but that's a different point. And I also want to know his relationship with Mags and Mags as his mentor. Because obviously we see a bit of that relationship in Catching Fire, and Joanna says that, Mags was his closest family, basically, at that point. I'd like to know more about their relationship. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I think I'd like to see his relationship with Annie, because we know they get together, we know that blossoms. I'd like to see, and the thing is, the thing's called the Hunger Games, right? But at the same time, I also want to see, I'd only want his games to be a fraction of his book. I'd want to see a lot more about how he juggles Annie and being with Annie and what he goes through in the capital. I'd like to see what kind of secrets he picks up and what kind of things he learns from citizens that I'm assuming lands him into the third quartile. Though you saying that now has made me realize that, oh yeah, Mags is technically then, Mags isn't really Korea because careers weren't a thing, but is District 4 a career district because District 4 was the first winner? Mags won the 11th, right? So is that how they picked the career districts? Then 1 and 2 were the next two winners. That's how they sort of
I don't know if the career districts chose themselves or if there was some sort of. This is the thing, it would answer a lot of the questions we have about careers that we don't know the answers to.
Yeah, and my final one was I wanted to do District 1 because I wanted to see inside a career district. And I think of Finnick as 4, and I don't see Finnick as career because he's too nice to be career, because he isn't as horrifically brutal, because I also can't see a career loving someone. To me, when they say in stories that, in fantasy stories, that if you are evil and evil can't love and all that kind of stuff, that's how I see 1 and 2. I see it all as being pure ambition. And so Finnick being a softer side and Mags being a softer side. But I'd also love to see what happens. I feel like 4 in comparison to 1. Pure vibes. I'm just getting pure vibes here. I feel like 4's not as harsh as a career district as number 1 or number 2 districts. So I kind of feel like seeing inside 4 would be lovely and mellow. I feel like seeing inside 1 or even 2 would be harsh, brutal, strict regimes, the works. A bit more like 13, but with more capital control and like fourth wing, like you're gonna, like if you don't pass the thing, you're gonna die. I'd love to see a fourth wing, like esque training montage in a district. Personally,
Okay.
that's what I'm kind of thinking.
Okay, so we've gone through our list of all the stories we would want to have kind of written by Suzanne
And you've
Collins.
gone like all victors. You've gone like every single victor. I want more arenas. It's basically you. And I'm like, give me the politics. Tell me like what would happen in this scenario.
I guess I'm interested to know like everyone who's listening, what stories do you want to hear? Because I'm sure there's tons more out there, probably some I haven't thought about. Some characters I've probably forgotten about, even though we've been doing this for a while now. And
anyone who's got like favorite fanfics that explore any of these people, let me know, because it does not need to be canon. I'm happy for anything at this point. I just want someone to give me some vague edits. I'm not a big fan fiction person. I'm not. I like my own little theories, but there are exceptions. There are exceptions. I have read some fics that I absolutely love. So, any fanfic recommendations? Let me know.
On that note, we're going to say goodbye for this week. But before we do, Rachel, what are we doing next week for mid-season content?
Next week, we are going through every single arena that we know anything about at all, chronological order. And we are going to rate if Katniss would have survived any other arena, or is it just pure dumb luck that she got the 74th?
Okay, I'm excited to do that one. Okay, we'll see you guys next week. And as always, please comment on your thoughts and your opinions. And we're just really happy to have you here.
Yeah,
thanks for listening to us ramble like crazy.
Please comment your thoughts and opinions. I'm having an absolute blast replying to them.
Honestly,
it is so much fun. Just hearing, like, getting into debates in the comments below our videos. Like, I'm loving it. Please keep feeding me comments to respond to, because I otherwise have actual things to do with my life. And I'd rather just stay on YouTube, respond to comments. So,
nice.
Yeah, come talk to me.
Okay, thanks, guys. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, Thanks for listening to our podcast, and don't forget to let us know your thoughts on all of our potential assholes.
No matter what platform you're listening to us on, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, upvote, and all that stuff.
If you like what we do and want to find out more, all of our platforms are listed in the description or show notes. We're a 2-person team, so any support or feedback is always greatly received.
Tune in next time to Once Upon a Red Flag. So it's kind of like, okay, here's my opportunity, and then she gets stuck with that same opportunity forever. Well, okay, if she's so good, why was she stuck with 12?